Okay, in this video, I want to show you how to manually install pyRevit on your machine. Um, there is obviously the standard Windows installer that is available for you to be installed pyRevit with. But I've been getting emails and questions about Symantec antivirus recognizing this setup as a potential threat. This is because this product, pyRevit, is only about a year and a half old, and the installer basically is about a year old, and it hasn't been verified by Symantec yet. Not many users in the world install this software, so it hasn't. I guess what I'm assuming is that it hasn't had enough data collected on this to make sure that it's safe and okay. I'm using the program that's called InnoSetup. Um, it's a very famous setup maker application for Windows that you basically create a script like this, what it looks like in here. You define the setup files and stuff like that, and then you compile it using this setup compiler, and it would create that installer for you. The installer that pyRevit uses, I'll show you the size of the full repository later, but the installer that pyRevit uses is only about 5 megabytes. Yeah, it's about 4 megabytes in size. So it doesn't have the pyRevit inside it. The only real thing that's inside this installer is an application, is a tiny application that clones the pyRevit repository from GitHub to your machine. That's all it does. And this repository is much bigger than 4 megabytes, obviously. The manual way to install pyRevit would be to basically clone this repository to your machine by yourself. And I'm going to show you how to do it. You are obviously on Windows. One of the problems, one of the challenges with Windows is that the Git doesn't come in pre-installed with the operating system, the Git tool. So you kind of have to install it. There are two ways to do it, and one is I'm going to search Git for Windows. One is this software that is bought by Git-SCM. This is a recompiled version of Git that is for the Windows operating system. You can get it for different versions of Windows as a portable thumb drive edition or as an installer. And install it on your machine, but this is a command prompt tool. So you have to use it in your Windows command prompt. Not everybody wants to use that. Not even I would like to do that. There are easier ways to do it. One of the applications that I use is called GitKraken. If you search for GitKraken, you get this software that is free for non-commercial use, obviously. You can get the software installed on your machine. It's highly visual, so you can see in the graphs and paths, you can see the full history of all the changes that's been done. It pulls the files for you and shows you what the changes are, and it's so much nicer interface to the Git system. That's the backend. This tool installs the Git command prompt tool by itself, so you can use it. Download and install this. I've already done that on my machine, obviously. This is the Git tool. You open up and then see it says Git Pro free trial tool. You can buy GitKraken Pro features too. You don't need this for simple Git interactions. The only thing that you have to do is to create an account, so basically they know who the users are and stuff like that. And the way it works is that the first thing you want to do is to clone the repository to your machine, and this cloning is a Git term. So cloning means that copying the repository to your local machine. This copying is different from normal copying. If you click on this clone or download button here in the pyRevit repository, it gives you two options. It gives you a link, or it gives you a download zip file. A lot of users do this download zip file. This also works, but the problem is that when you download the zip, it doesn't download all the information that's inside this Git repository. Git repository has a special folder that it basically memorizes all the changes that's been done over time. It remembers the history of the repository. I'm going to call it repo from now on. So it's so much easier. If you do, you can do this. You can download it, unzip it. I'll show you how to set up the admin files. But basically, you lose the power to update your pyRevit if you download using zip. So we want to clone it using we want to clone the actual pyRevit repo. So I'm going to copy this link here, It's very conveniently provided by GitHub. And then you go to your Git cracking software, click on this open, say clone, pick a location. I'm going to give it, let's say C drive. C drive. I'm going to create a new folder for here, call it pyRevit v4. Select folder. That's going to be it. And then this URL is what we copied from the clone repository. It's technically a normal URL, but it ends at .git, and it references the actual Git repo of pyRevit to GitHub. So you paste that here, and then full path would be this, because this is the parent folder. So basically, this Git cracking tool clones the pyRevit repository into the pyRevit folder inside that parent folder that you have provided, which is fine. And then clone the repo, and see it start downloading all the information from the repo to your machine. So while we wait for that to install, I'm just going to go and open C drive. See, this is the folder that we created, and that's the folder that the Git tool is creating. See, this is the special folder that I talked about. It's hidden by default, and it starts with a dot. This dot system is from the Unix operating system. Every folder that starts with a dot, every file name or folder name that starts with a dot is hidden by default. Normally, you can't create a folder like this in Windows. It doesn't let you start a folder name or a file name with a dot. But if you're using, the Windows API to create files and stuff like that, then that's possible. Inside this folder, you can browse inside this folder, and you can see all these extra folders. Do not ever mess with any of these. This is what when we refer to as a Git repo. This is the real repo. This is a series of files that basically a memory of everything that's been done to this repo. And what you see here, other than the Git folder, is basically your working directory. So the Git is your repo, and then you check out a branch, because a Git repo could have different branches based on what you're working on. For example, the pyRevit repository has a master branch. It has an unstable W23 at this time, because I created this unstable branch on week 23 of this year, and I started working on this. Is a development branch, and there's a GH pages, which is the GitHub pages, which the pyRevit blog is hosted on. So all the contents of this blog is actually on a different branch in the same repo. So if you have this repo downloaded on a machine, you have everything that belongs to pyRevit, basically, even the blog technically. So yes, so Git has different branches. And what I was trying to explain is that what you see here is the branch that you have already checked out. This is the branch that you want and you want to work on right now. And it basically, the Git tool will read the Git repo, figure out what files are in that branch, and it basically creates all this stuff in here for you. And then because this folder exists, now you can keep your pyRevit repo updated all the time, because the actual the repo exists, and it knows the history, and it knows how to apply the new changes to it. So hopefully this is almost done. Okay, successfully cloned repo. Do you want to open it now? Yes, open it now. So what it does is that this Git tool is reading, using the Git basically prompt tool, is reading the contents of the repository. So see here, don't get overwhelmed with what you see here. There are 3 different sections to this. There's this side, this left side, which has the local. It tells you what branch you have checked out. So it says master, that's your local. There's a remote. The remote is the origin, is what the pyRevit on the GitHub is. And you can see, you can recognize it, but it's a little GitHub icon over here. And you can see the 3 branches that are on the repository. When you clone a branch basically on your machine. So right now, the information that is inside the unstable and the GH pages branches are not on your machine. If you need that, you can double click on any of these and check it out to your local also. But generally, you don't need to work with any of those unless you're making changes and sending me pull requests. And here you can see a series of tags. So I want to know at what commit was pyRevit version 4.3. If I click on this, it would take me to that change. This is the core update that I published for pyRevit 4.3. And then after that, you can see this history of all the changes that's been applied to it. For every change, if you click on it, you know how many files have been changed. And if you click on those, it tells you what lines have been removed and what lines have been added. So it's a great way of seeing how things has evolved. And then this is the last one that what does it say, part 2.2? Oh, that's wrong. So this is the last commit that I published today, which is for core update pyRevit 4.4. And you can see that there's a lot of changes to this. There's a lot of files that have been affected in this change. It's been 150 modified files, 108 added, 20 deleted, and 25 renamed. It's a very, very nicely presented to you. And on this side, you can see all this information about the commit that you have selected on this list. You don't ever generally have to mess with this, but it gives you, if you're trying to learn more about like how to use Git and how to use pyRevit and what, how we have done some of the changes that's in pyRevit, that's a great way of doing it. Like, for example, somebody, you might have issued the published the issue number 208, and you want to know how it's been resolved. So you can click on this and see, oh, these two files have changed under this issue, and this stuff has been added to this Python file, and this stuff has been removed, and the green ones have been added. Obviously, the red is the stuff that's been removed, and the green is the lines that have been added to the code. So it's just a great way of using and seeing what's inside the pyRevit repository. I'm going to keep this open. I might come back to it again. So this is the repo. You've installed it. You have it on your machine. The only thing that you have to do right now is to tell Revit where pyRevit is. So go under release folder inside the pyRevit checked out branch, which is here, which is the master. Go under release, and there are three batch files basically. Don't worry about upgrade. This is only for when you want to upgrade. Actually, you can always use this to upgrade if you don't have any of your Revit instances open. You just double click on this. It will update your repository. You don't really have to do anything, honestly. To install the add-ins, double click on this file. It would run it, and it would create the add-in files based on the location, the current location of pyRevit repo for your Revit versions, all the installed Revit versions. The only thing that's about this file is that it has an option. So for the sysadmins that want to install the pyRevit for all users on a machine instead of a single user on a machine, if you go to my last blog post about pyRevit 4.4, I have posted this as sort of like a snippet of a batch file that says this is how you install pyRevit in silent mode using the installer, and then change directory to the release, the directory that I was showing you, and then do the uninstall add-in just to make sure that there are no add-in files remaining from older version of pyRevit or anything like that, and then run install add-in with the option all users. And that basically tells the bat file that instead of copying everything into creating the add-in files into the app data folder under Revit, create them under program data, so all the users on the machine have access to it. So right now on this one, I just want to double click on this and run it for myself. Actually, let me actually show you this. So I'm going to copy this address, and I'm going to open my command prompt, which is just say, Windows. You can click on Windows button R, which is run, or you can open your start menu and then say run, and then run desktop, and then it says CMD, which is the command prompt, and it gives you the command prompt, and then CD change directory /D to, and then right click and paste that address that you copied from here, right? So you're effectively changing your prompt path, your current working directory, to that directory, and then hit enter. The file directory is incorrect. Why? Because we're already on drive C. Okay, that's fine. The /D that I added is that's a habit because it pushes the change directory to change the drive as well. So if you're currently on C and you want to change to Z, for example, you need to kind of add that. So clear CLS. So I've got this one over here. Everything is ready. I want to run the install add-in. So I'm going to say install, and after you typed a few characters of the file name, you can just hit tab, and it would autocomplete the rest for you, and then all users. and that's it. Hit enter, and it copies everything into the. So if you look at the report, the most of these stuff are the contents of the batch script, but everything starts from here. Adding description file to Revit 2017. It pastes all this stuff into a file, and then to Revit 2018, and it copies all this stuff to a file. And the file is located here. See program data, Autodesk Revit add-ins 2018 pyRevit add-in. This is program data because we requested for this to be installed for all users. So if you go under program data now, and Autodesk Revit add-in 2018 pyRevit add-ins here, and this is basically the file that tells Revit, go to this address, load that DLL, and that is pyRevit. So it's really as easy as this, and you're ready. So if I run my 2017, for example, Revit now, I should be able to load pyRevit without any problems. Okay, you get the security prompt. You're loading a new DLL. Yes, always load. It's fine. Doesn't really do anything other than loading a simple Python script that loads the rest of the pyRevit. The beauty of this for you people that are familiar with Python codes and stuff like that is that you can always browse the code and see what's going on inside it and how things are done. And for the advanced users, if you are, if there's any feature that you want to add, you can, or there's an error in the code or something that you can make it better, you can always do that and send me pull requests through GitHub. I'll do a video for this later, but most of the advanced users that use the Git system or the GitHub know how to send pull requests for the changes that you have done. So there you go. pyRevit is loaded. Everything looks good. This is the latest version because we cloned the repository. It always, by default, clones the most recent version. So you can click on pyRevit now. I didn't really have to open a new project, but anyways. So this is pyRevit, loaded, everything's fine. And then you can keep it updated from here because you have the full Git repository on your machine. And if you go under About, you should be able to see that is you have the latest version on your machine installed.